Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for the road to my 700th Platinum Trophy. So, for Platinum number 700, I did the PS5 version of Powerwash Simulator. Now, people might be wondering when they see this being, number 700, because I've done some tough games in the past for these milestones. I mean, I've done, Far Cry 2 was number 500. I did Red Dead 2 for 400, GTA 5 for 300. And I also did Attack on Titan for 200. 600 was that Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, which was not a good time, as you guys already know my thoughts on that one from when I platinumed it. So you might be wondering, why did I do a comparatively easy game like Powerwash Simulator for 700 for such a big milestone? And it's not the biggest milestone, it's not, number 1000 or anything like that, or even number 750 I could see being a bigger milestone than this. I have a few reasons for that. So, the first reason is that this game is actually fun. I actually really enjoy this game a lot. I think it's very calming, very relaxing type of game to play. And it's a fun game. Plus, it's a legitimate, actual game, unlike so many of the, easy platinums that come out nowadays. So, that's one of the main reasons for it, is because the game is just legitimately fun. But also because this is the kind of game I've needed within the last 100 Platinums because of everything that's happened in real life. Because, for those of you who don't know, I do work in the healthcare field. It can be a fairly demanding and stressful job at times. And because of that, sometimes I don't really want to go home and play, something that's going to be challenging or aggravating or just, stuff like that. I don't necessarily have the time and effort to put in to learn games like that as much anymore, like what I used to when I was in maybe college and such, and had more time to play these more challenging, time-consuming platinums. Other priorities have to come first, plus someday I would like to actually have a girlfriend again, and actually hopefully get married and have kids someday. And this is the kind of game that I can just use nowadays to chill out, relax, and have fun when I get home from work after a long day. So that is a big part of the reason why I enjoy this game, because you can just pick it up for, half an hour or an hour at the end of your day once you've taken care of everything else you need to. There it is. Man, that last little bit of dirt was a little bit well hidden down there. So it's just that kind of a game that's just fun to pick up and play for short periods of time. You can just zone out while you're doing it. Because for those who don't know, I don't really mind grindier trophies in games usually. Because in general, I can find it to be a little bit relaxing just to be able to sit down and just work on the game for an hour a day. Just grabbing, some progress toward it over time until I can eventually get it all done. It's not a bad way to rest after long days, so that is, again, part of the reason why I was doing this game. But it's also just, it's addicting. I'm very OCD about things, keeping them clean and such, so this game was definitely a perfect fit for me. Additionally, the Platinum Trophy is pretty easy, but we'll talk about that when we actually look at the trophy list. It's basically complete the game and perform miscellaneous tasks on a large number of the jobs. So the final trophy here is for finishing a special job, which I saved for last because the Mars rover is pretty neato. But yep, there's our last trophy right there. Pressure's off. That's the Platinum. Yeah, 100%. I don't know if this game is going to get DLC. It's getting, DLC jobs. I'll show that here in a second. Oh, yeah, and we get our little time lapse at the end of every job after we've cleaned everything. It's just so satisfying to watch. It's just again, it's just a really relaxing thing to play, and that's kind of what I, need sometimes, is just to rest a little bit. Now, I don't think these jobs actually, stay complete. I don't think, or do they? Maybe they didn't in the PS4 version, but they do in the PS5 version? Yeah, that's interesting. So in the PS4 version, I don't think they stayed complete. So I guess I could still go and do those if I wanted to at some point. Maybe someday. So in here, Obviously, nothing's left in the story jobs because I finished all of that. There are some special jobs that they've been releasing. There's a Tomb Raider job as well as a Midgar job, and presumably there's going to be other new ones in the future. But so far, none of them have had trophies, so it makes me wonder if we're ever going to get DLC trophies. I certainly wouldn't be against it because I wouldn't mind having this game to come back to at some point and knock out some DLC trophies, just have some fun with it. But at the same time, I won't necessarily be upset or offended if they don't ever release any DLC for it because it is, going to be a bit of a time sink, and I'd like to go ahead and move on to other games at this point. So, for the Platinum Trophy, it took me about a month to obtain the Platinum. Let's see if I can find actually the first trophy I got. Was it the Soap Connoisseur? Or, no, it was this one, I think, 3-8. So yeah, it took me about a month to get the Platinum. You could certainly do it faster. It took me, it'll show me here, how many hours did I put into this? Does it say 43 hours approximately? That is not correct though, because there were several times where I went idle or I just fell asleep while working on a job and then, woke up several hours later and it's like, oh, I'm still in the game right now. So yeah, it was more like probably 30-ish hours, so it's definitely not quite 40 hours. So you have to own all the cleaning liquids in the game. There's 6 different ones. They each cost $10, so you just have to own all of them at once. You have to obtain all the different power washing nozzles. There's 4 of them, as well as their different attachments. So you have to obtain every single attachment for the Pro, which is the best one. I think you're allowed to skip like 1 attachment for each of the other power washers, though, even though you might as well just get them all because you'll have more than enough money to do so. You have to equip a new outfit, gloves, and washer modification at the same time. You can simply buy the cheapest one. The gloves are like $50 a piece. The cheapest power washer mod, I think, is like $25. And then the different outfits aren't too expensive, maybe like $50 to $100 for the cheapest ones. But you should, again, have more than enough money to purchase most of them. You might not be able to purchase all of them depending on how much you spend on the cleaning liquids. So then we start getting to our job-specific trophies, because most of the trophies in this game are related to completing specific jobs. So, for example, we have completely cleaned the van using only the red nozzle. That's the very first job in the game. The red nozzle means that it's going to take a bit longer just because you're using the most basic power washer at that time. I highly recommend trying to get these trophies done during your first playthrough of each job, because that's going to save you some time in the long run, because some of the later jobs are actually very time consuming. The van's pretty quick, but a lot of the later ones can take a pretty long time. The backyard is the first sort of true job after this tutorial, or it's one of the first true jobs. You just have to clean the 12 stepping stones that you spawn in on first. For every one of these trophies, you can simply mark your target in the pause menu. There's a checklist there. You can just select whichever one you want to clean at any given time, and it'll make them sort of glow in front of you whenever you're near them, which makes it very easy to spot whatever it is that you want to clean first or last. So the playground, you don't actually have to clean anything specifically first or last. You just have to push a football or soccer ball, for those of us in the US, up the stego slide, which that one, it's a little bit tricky to get it lined up. It might take a couple of tries. You want to stay a little ways away from it with the red nozzle and just, shoot it straight up the slide. Again, it takes a couple of tries, but it's nothing too difficult. The bungalow gutters last. This is one of the few where it's a little bit more annoying because you have to complete something last, so you have to clean everything else around it first. Most of the bungalow is easy to clean, but the gutters can just be like a little bit trickier because sometimes they're right in the way of parts of the wall and such, so just be a little bit careful about this one and you should be alright. The detached house, it's just the pathway, driveway, and driveway edges first. You spawn on top of the driveway with the edges on it, and the pathway is next to it. The shoe house, this one's actually a lot easier because the sole is really big and it extends around the whole shoe house, so it's easy to get everything else done first. The fire station without standing on the scaffolding, this one can be a little bit tricky because you do really need one of the longer attachments, like preferably an extra long nozzle, but at minimum a long nozzle with the red for one of the more powerful power washers. You can do it with the starting power washer. It's just a lot more annoying to do it that way. But supposedly, at least on the Xbox version, you can actually use the scaffolding to clean the outside, then quit out of the game and join back into it, and then just clean the rest of the job, and it should unlock. But I've never tested that on the PS4 or PS5 version, so don't take my word for it. Then the watermelon shot, this is another just do something specific on a job. You have to push the ball out of the bowl in the skate park. This one actually took me a while to get because I thought I had done it, but apparently didn't. This one is just a typical clean something specific on the job first. In this case, it's the windows, windscreen, and wing mirrors. You just have to be careful for the windshield wipers. The penny far thing is the really weird looking bike. You just have to stand on top of it for 10 seconds. Super easy. That's one of the easiest jobs in the game. The tree house, there are 12 lanterns scattered around it, 8 on the house, 3 at the base of the staircases, and 1 on a center landing, like halfway up. Then there's the fire helicopter. There's 10 total blades, the 6 main blades, and the 4 tail blades. Very simple. The carousel without turning it off is just a little bit annoying because, you know, when it's moving around, it's harder to hit certain areas precisely, but it's still not too difficult. It just might take a little bit longer than a normal job. This one is very easy. You can just clean everything around the top, and then when you get to about 99% on the job, quit out of it and join back in, and the gnome will be right back up on top where he started at, because it's very difficult to complete this one without knocking the gnome down if you're doing it normally, just because he's in a very precarious spot. The washroom, this is the one trophy in the game that's known to be quite buggy. A lot of people have problems unlocking this one. So what I did to unlock it was I cleaned everything in the washroom except for the toilet seats, the toilet bowls, and the... what was the other thing? So it was like the actual toilet, the bowl, and the back of the seat and the main seat or something like that. I cleaned everything except for the ones that were marked toilet. And then I went from left to right cleaning one set of objects, then went left to right again cleaning the next set of objects, and finally left to right cleaning the actual toilet bowls as the final thing. And that unlocked it. I also saved and quit before starting to clean those final objects. But other people have said that those strategies don't work. Some people manage to make it work without really doing anything special. So just do keep in mind that this is probably the worst trophy in the game in terms of it, you know, being buggy and problematic. So just be aware of this particular one. The Helter Skelter, this one's a little bit trickier as well because there's like 16 of these strips of lights that go around it, and they are at different... it's not really that they're different heights, it's just that the slide you have to use to climb up and down it can be a little bit finicky to see all the light bulbs and get them perfectly. Then you have this one, which is fairly easy because it's like 6 total parts, or it might only be 5 total parts because it's just the 4 anti-gravity parts, and the laser, I think, is on its own, so I guess just 5 parts. The monster truck tires are pretty easy. There's just 4 of them. They're pretty big. They can be a little bit tough to fully clean, but they're not much of a problem. The Ferris wheel with a gnome, it's just go to the Ferris wheel job, pick up the gnome from the top of the Helter Skelter, and then ride around the Ferris wheel with it. The subway platform takes a really long time to clean, but the advertising boards are very easy to clean first because they're quite large and they're not really around anything small, so they're super easy to clean first. Ancient statue, you just have to knock over the buckets scattered around the area, so just spray them. Pretty simple. The ancient monument with only the white nozzle does take a while because, of course, the white nozzle is the least powerful. But it still shouldn't take too long to get through, probably like 20-ish minutes or so to get through, maybe 30. The fishing boat is also a pretty big job, but the bow steps and main deck first are not really that problematic. This will be unlocked when you complete the final job in the game, which is like another massive temple out on an island. That place is huge. That job alone will easily take over an hour. I don't see any way you could do it much faster, just because there is so much you have to clean, and you do have to use the most powerful nozzle to really be able to do it efficiently. It does take quite a while. The fairground, this is done during the carousel job. Just run over to the booth where the coconuts are and spray them down. Very simple. Get 150 stars in career mode. You will get this automatically while completing the story mode, just because you will need all 190 stars to complete the game. Then for this one, some people suggest the penny far thing. Others will suggest the golf cart. I actually did it in the skate park on both versions. But I don't know if it was really the most efficient one to do it on because it did make it take quite a while. It's probably not the most efficient one. I'm sure that the penny far thing makes sense because it only has like 10 things you have to clean on it. So it does make more sense. But I did do it on the skate park, so you can do it on some of the bigger jobs because the skate park doesn't really have anything that's actually small that you can accidentally clean. Then you have another one just for finishing something first, the drill head and tip on the drill job. Then you have the gold medals, which this is the hardest trophy in the game by a wide margin in terms of the ones that actually function correctly, not counting, of course, that glitch trophy. So this one is definitely the hardest trophy because some of the gold medals, a lot of the gold medals are pretty challenging. There's maybe, is it 16 or 18 in the game? There's a number of them in the game, but you only have to complete 5, thankfully. If you had to complete all of them, this platinum would be a lot harder than it is. It would probably be like a 6 or 7 out of 10. But thankfully, you only have to complete 5, so you can complete whatever 5 you find to be easiest. I would say things like the 2 for the golf cart and the 2 for the van are both good choices. I also did the water challenge for the motorcycle with sidecar, I believe, in both versions. Some will suggest to do either the bungalow or the backyard, because those, especially I think it's the bungalow that has a pretty generous time limit on it. I don't know about the water limits for those, though. I probably wouldn't try those. And then finally you have complete a special job, which there's 4 of those currently. The Mars rover appears to be the shortest and simplest one, so I would definitely recommend doing it on that one. So yeah, wonderful game overall. I will say that I ran into one small issue with the PS5 version, is that on some of the later jobs, the PS5 version lags a lot for some reason compared to the PS4 version. I don't know if that was just unlucky on my part, but I did run into quite a bit of lag on the later, bigger jobs like the subway and that final temple. So again, maybe that was just me, but I did run into that problem on PS5, and I don't remember having that issue on PS4. So if anyone else did have that issue, please let me know in the comments, because I'd be curious to know if it was just a me thing or if it happened to other people. Oh wow, that sync actually went through pretty quickly. Level 820, 30%, 25,466 total trophies, 700 platinums, 4,558 gold, 6,703 silvers, 13,505 bronzes. So, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Please like, favorite, share, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you haven't already. I don't know how much of a break I'm going to be taking after platinum number 700 here. I don't know if I am buying a few easy platinums right now that I might just want to knock out just to get a little bit of numbers for upcoming future, just to, you know, get a few easy games done, but that's about it. Otherwise, though, be looking forward to a Platinum 601 to 700 type of video coming out sometime within, hopefully, the next month. Well, actually, no, this video, by the time this video goes up, I'm sure that video will already be out. So, yep, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys back here for some more trophy content.